everyone, my name is Alex Jenny and I am the drag therapist. Thank you so much for joining us for The Moment, a trans as fuck talk show / drag show where we highlight and celebrate trans performers and trans artists. And I am so humbled and honored to have you all join us tonight for our second episode. I also want to thank Unbound Babes for being our generous sponsors for this evening. So today we have a packed lineup, a packed show. We have Leo Shang, star of the L Word, joining us today. Also joining us today for an interview is Lucy Stool. Lucy is a Chicago legend, icon, mentor to so many. So without further ado, we'll jump right in and we'll start off with some drag performances. Buckle up. Thank you for being here. Make sure to tip. Make sure to pay the suggested cover. And I hope you have a good time tonight.
You're the one that I've been waiting for. Gotta quit this crying. Nobody's gonna heal me if I don't open the door. Kinda hard to believe. Gotta have faith in me. Freak out, freak out, freak out, freak out. Look at me. I get down, I get down, I get down, I get down. Look at me. Freak out, freak out, freak out, freak out. Look at me now. 'Cause all I ever wanted was love. All I ever wanted was love. I want your stupid love, love. I want your stupid love, love. Now it's time to free me from the shame. I gotta find that peace. Is it too late or could this love protect me from the pain? I would battle for you, even if I break into. Freak out, freak out, freak out, freak out. Look at me. I get down, I get down, I get down, I get down. Look at me. Freak out, freak out, freak out, freak out. Look at me now. 'Cause all I ever wanted was love. All I ever wanted was love. I want your stupid love, love. I want your stupid love, love. I don't need a reason. Not sorry, I want your stupid love. I don't need a reason. Not sorry, I want your stupid love. Higher, higher. I want your stupid love. We got a stupid love, 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 love. I want your stupid love, love. I want your stupid love, love.
What's up everyone, my name is Bibi Discoteca, my pronouns are she, they, and I'm a drag queen living in Los Angeles, California. For me, drag has really helped me be able to just experiment with my own gender and also mainly unlock my fucking mind and beat the fucking bosses on different levels. I feel like that's definitely been my trans experience thus far, is just like realizing the ways that I was holding myself back and realizing like, wow, why am I doing this? Like, why am I trying to present a certain way for whatever type of like desirability? So I've just been able to really experiment with just myself and be able to really find out what's going on up in here. But with my drag and with my art and creative process, I just hope to inspire other people to do the same and just be able to reflect on themselves, unlock their own minds, fucking beat the bosses in their own minds, find what's holding them back. And I just hope that I'm able to encourage other people to be their full selves, be able to utilize all of who they are. And with this performance, I hope that, you know, somewhat we accomplish that. Or I don't know, I hope I invoke that in some type of way. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this performance. I hope y'all just have a good time, drink some water, and let's get it.
Good day in my mind, safe to take a step out. Get some air now, let your edge out. To some iceberg, you'll be heavy in my mind. Can you get the heck out? I need rest now, got me bummed out. You, baby, baby, baby. I've been on my empty mind, shit. I try to keep from losing the best of me. I worry that I wasted the best of me. Oh, you baby, you don't care. So now I'm trying to be a nuisance, it's just urgent. Trying to make sense of little change, got me a war in my mind. Gotta let go of weight, can't keep what's holding me. Choose the right, or it will break up in front of me. All the while, I'll wave my arm and feel with a smile. I still wanna try, still believe in good days. Always inside, good days living in my mind. Help me unlock my fears, my limitations. I disappear if you let me. Feeling like Jericho, feeling like Joe. We lost this shit, gotta hold my own, my cross to bear alone. Ooh, way to dip, way to kill the mood. No, you like that shit, yeah. Good day in my mind, safe to take a step out. Get some air now, let your edge out. To some iceberg, you'll be heavy in my mind. Can you get the heck out? I need rest now, got me bummed out. You, baby, baby, baby. I've been on my empty mind, shit. I try to keep from losing the best of me. I worry that I wasted the best of me. Oh, you baby, you don't care. So now I'm trying to be a nuisance, it's just urgent. Trying to make sense of little change, got me a war in my mind. Gotta let go of weight, can't keep what's holding me. Choose the right, or it will break up in front of me. All the while, I'll wave my arm and feel with a smile. I still wanna try, still believe in good days. Always inside, good days living in my mind. Help me unlock my fears, my limitations. I disappear if you let me. Feeling like Jericho, feeling like Joe. We lost this shit, gotta hold my own, my cross to bear alone. Ooh, way to dip, way to kill the mood. No, you like that shit, yeah. Ooh, baby, baby, heavy on my empty mind, shit.
All right. We have the incomparable Lucy Stool joining us. Thank you for being a part of The Moment. A show that, again, highlights people who are the moment. You are the moment, have been the moment, will continue to be the moment. You're someone I've looked up to and someone that gave me permission to be me when I was first starting out. So yeah, it truly is an honor to have you here. Thank you.
Oh my God, Alex, that means so much to me. It's been so great watching your entrance into the scene and just watching you blossom into the person you are today. Like, what a lovely fucking person you are. I'm so glad the world and like Chicago and like drag has brought us together.
We'll just jump right in. And I would love to ask you first and foremost if you have any updates that you want to share from the Chicago Black Drag Council.
Since we've begun, we've started a mutual aid fund to actually help out with Black entertainers across Chicago and hopefully one day across the country. We also do a local charity fundraiser every single month. We've actually begun the steps to implementing a system in the bars to really make sure that there is a true sense of accountability when someone is wronged. Also creating a pipeline for people to be able to talk about those things. We're actually working on our nonprofit status. We also are throwing our first show, which is the Black Valentine's Cabaret. It is employing over 50 Black creatives. Yeah, that's what we've been up to. Just a little bit.
Just casually, inventing what it means to be a drag performer and involved in the community. No big deal. I really need to re-highlight the work that you are doing to keep us safe. So I see the work that you're doing as making it easier for people to let their light shine through, and creating safety in the bars is such a complicated and nuanced process. And so, yeah, I just am so impressed that you all took it upon yourselves to say, we are capable of doing this. And if we don't, then no one else will.
A lot of us finally said, well, maybe if we take this step and we do this, then everyone else will look at themselves and say, hey, we can also take this step and we can do this. I believe that the community really sees the good we're trying to do and the everlasting change we're trying to make in our queer community and in queer communities across the world. I have talked to people in LA and San Francisco and New York and, even overseas about how they could start to do this in their own communities. I don't think any of us actually had that in mind when we first put this together. That's another thing that I want to reiterate whenever I have a moment too, is that this was also to change the entire community. Everyone will benefit from this, every performer.
And I do want to double down on that point, because when you were talking about becoming a nonprofit, I thought about how so many major LGBTQ organizations, specifically nonprofits, are white and misled.
Yes.
And when whiteness is centered, really it's, white, gay, most of the time men centering themselves. It's harder to make a big impact in the community when people like that are centered. But if you center Black and queer trans people, that changes the way in which we approach the work, because then everyone will benefit more likely from centering Black people specifically.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. Yes.
So I'd like to shift gears a little bit and talk about you. I think back to the times that we have spent together, and it's been, kikiing in the club, and we haven't really gotten a chance to get to know each other more intimately. And I would love to give everyone else an opportunity to get to know you more intimately as well. Can you tell me about your origin story, if you will, where you came from, and how you got to doing drag and being this drag icon?
To make the short story is, at 23, I rose from a clamshell and begun my ascent to where I am. But to tell the actual truth, originally I was born in Kansas City, Kansas, and then I left when I was 17 and kind of haven't been back since. I went to school in Iowa, where I joined a fraternity that kind of changed my life. I had started as a pre-law major, deeply in the closet about everything.
Yeah. There's also pre-law and also deeply in the closet. Okay.
See, I'm like, oh my God, I know this story is so many people have this story. But yeah, I joined a fraternity and I became a frat boy, but it was the coolest fraternity ever. Like, it was all the musicians and the artists and the few out queers that were there, and like, you know, all the actual like cool ass like cis dudes that, you know, needed somewhere to hang and not feel the ridiculous like toxic masculinity that was every fucking where at that school. It is what got me started to come to Chicago, because one of my frat brothers, who is also my drag mother, moved to Chicago and was like, you got to come up here and visit me. Came to visit him in 2006, and he took me to Berlin. And it was the first time I had ever been to a nightclub, let alone a queer nightclub. And I took ecstasy for the first time. Yes! And I remember I remember dancing to Greg House and a couple of the other like local like it DJs back in 2006 in Berlin. And I was like, I didn't know the world could be like this. I didn't know there was a life like this. I didn't know there were people out here that were living. I didn't know that drag queens could make money, like, you know, and actually be like celebrated and lauded. Like, what? And I said, I'm moving to Chicago immediately. Packed up my car and moved to Chicago August 1st, 2007. And here the fuck I am 13 years later. It's so wild. Just kind of awesome and strange that it's like turned into me now being this quote unquote drag celebrity, because I never would have thought the former pre-law turned, you know, theater major would be here, but here she is.
Yes, and we're so much better for it.
Yes.
I'm still like reeling at the image of you as a frat star. I'm like, okay.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna find you pictures. I'm gonna find you pictures so you can see.
Yeah, we'll put it up in post. Like, that's like sending me, and like honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Like like the way that you just kind of foster camaraderie very naturally.
Mm-hmm. It was the first time seeing like what a queer family or a chosen family could be. I still talk to all those fuckers to this day. That's huge. And I hope that for everyone, because it allows you to be able to grow into yourself and transform and be fucking supported. Like, everyone deserves that.
That makes me think of Brene Brown, who is this, I jokingly call her like a social worker icon celebrity, right? She talks a lot about vulnerability and being able to find people to like show your shame to. She was like, if you get one person where you can show your shame to, you are so lucky. And yeah, I think about like the queer and trans experience, and I'm so lucky to be able to say that I have so many people that kind of fall into that category for me in different ways. And I think queer and trans people cultivate this ability to really be intimate and earnest and genuine with each other out of survival, but also out of love.
It's so important to me. It really is so important to me. When I say it, I mean it. And I really am not about the bullshit.
So the next question I have for you is how you're feeling about Drag Queen of the Year. Congratulations. And more generally, where your drag is feeling.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm actually feeling pretty fucking great about Drag Queen of the Year. And it was just something that naturally I was like, I'm a bad bitch. Like, I think that I should be a part of this. So I'm so proud to be one of the 3 people representing Chicago in this. Yes. I also am just so thankful for the chance to be seen on this platform. Also, this validation from this. Like, to be fucking honest, the validation of being in this group and competing for this with like these kind of eyes on me means a lot to me, especially being a Black, you know, non-binary, like bearded performer. I'm just super excited to be able to showcase what the fuck I've been doing and working on and representing for the girls.
We're so happy for you. and like you said, you know, being a Black non-binary bearded femme is so rare in terms of the platform that you've worked so hard to achieve for yourself. And like I said earlier, you know, especially when I still wore my facial hair, seeing you gave me permission to do that. And so I'm sure that people seeing you compete in this, for the people who don't already know you, that you're gonna, just the impact.
Also, I want that $10,000. Like, everybody on there like has worked hard. I'm like, bitch, I have worked. Like,
yes. You're like,
Give
if
me
it's
the
a question of
set.
how hard we've worked, I'm winning, period.
Yeah. Like it would be mine. Like it would be mine. But I've got some great competition. So I have had to really come up with what I think is a pretty bomb, very Chicago, very Lucy package. After this and what comes next with drag, like it's so open for me, you know, after everything that happened with like last year and just like everyone else, my life got completely turned upside down. And now I'm trying to focus on longevity, I guess, more than anything. I think a lot of the times, a lot of queer people don't think a lot about the future. That's definitely something that I've started to think about now at my old age of 36. You know, I would definitely like to still be performing in some capacity. I mean, I probably won't be at the bars, but also I wouldn't be above it. I'm a bitch I'm not above being in a bar. Like, I love that shit. There's some people that talk shit about that, but I'm like, I absolutely love being there with the people and being in these like the like center of like the queer community. I would like to be owning a space or helping other Black and brown people fucking own spaces. Actually, one of the things I've been thinking about is figuring out how I can help out with sexual health. Ever since I started the sex toy line, helping people get some correct sexual knowledge and also just helping people who have fucking questions, because there's so many people with questions, as you know.
Absolutely. I think you are such a beautiful example of what it means to marry social entrepreneurship and drag. We are leaders of the community, and drag performers and trans women have always been leaders of the community. And we
Always.
need to continue that legacy, thinking about you not only filling the clubs with your laugh and giving us that joy, but also, you know, helping people work through their sexual health questions, providing safety protocols and restorative justice processes to the club, and figuring out for yourself what longevity as an entrepreneur and an artist means to you. It's like such a beautiful roadmap for you to be creating for us.
To be honest, I really couldn't be doing it without everybody too. Yeah, God, I love my people in this city so much.
The last question I want to ask you is just generally, whatever this brings up for you, what does healing look like for you?
Healing is freedom. I have lived a life where I have been hurt a lot, especially by some of the people who we usually are told are supposed to be the people that take care of us. And there was a lot that I carried with me from a young age that used to be really heavy, literal chains that I was carrying, that it took me a while to get out of. With the work that I did with the therapist and with my family and everything after that came some actual healing that led me to being free. It literally felt like a weight had been lifted from me, and like, you know, I was light again and able to kind of like float and be myself and be the self that I wanted to create and the self that like I saw. It means total fucking freedom to me.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so beautiful to watch you demonstrate what freedom can look like. And, you know, thinking about, you know, my own trajectory in the drag scene and just how lucky I feel to know you and to know that like people like you have gone through like that dark, painful kind of healing and still show up to share your art means so much. And I hope that I can also feel that freedom one day.
You will. I absolutely know you will. I know you will. You've already been on the path for it, honey. You're on it. You're doing it. We're all working towards it every single day.
Yes, absolutely. I love you so much.
I love you too so much. Thank you so much for this conversation. It's an honor to be included on the show, but also just the chance to be able to talk to you is always so fucking heavenly. Like, you are a part of the healing and freedom that I talk about.
Thank you. That means so much to me. Yeah, I can't praise you enough. I love you so much. For those of you who aren't already following Lucy, make sure to follow her work on Instagram. Let's support her through Drag Queen of the Year. Buy her fucking products, unlearn shame, grab onto pleasure, and we'll see what's in store for you and the Chicago Black Drag Council and Chicago Drag in general. Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you so much.
All right. Mwah.
More than I like Trader Joe's. I'll swallow kids if he start eating vegetables. New York nigga with a love for Arizonas. I got the juice he bout to start sipping on. You see how it be, you ain't know you needed me, now I'm all in your room. Look at you, want a piece of me, the ripe fruit hanging off the tree. I'm a mango, mami, pero te quiero, papi, but not more than I want to be making so much money. You gon' hit my phone when I get home. You gon' sing this song like all day long. Stank attitude, bad allergies might embarrass you. Make your granny see me at your barbecue. Papa plan B, stop the family. A father not cute. I'm starving at the function. I'm marbling at your cousin. Do he know where the stash is at? Where the lobster, the crabs, and the pasta's at? He laughed at me, he do though. I could see his Maduro inside my noodle. You gon' hit my phone when I get home. You gon' sing this song like all day long. We don't fuck, he just picked me up from Trader Joe's. Carry all my groceries and lick on all my toes. Tryna cuff, but I know you gonna leave me alone. When my phone ring, it's cause a nigga seen the way I grow. We don't fuck, he just picked me up from Trader Joe's. Carry all my groceries and lick on all my toes. Tryna cuff, but I know you gonna leave me alone. When my phone ring, it's cause a nigga seen the way I grow. You gon' hit my phone when I get home. You gon' sing this song like all day long. You gon' hit my phone when I get home. You gon' sing this song like all day long.
plane on my back if you can't hold it. Life is but a dream that you manifested slowly. So fuck a fantasy, this your motherfucking moment. It's your motherfucking moment. It's your motherfucking moment. Life is but a dream. Here we are inside of it, and you're inside of me. Until you work, sure, while you fall asleep. Finally, you can add this moment to your memory. Ooh, take away your pain, give me all of your emotions. Land it like a plane on my back if you can't hold it. Life is but a dream that you manifested slowly. So fuck a fantasy, this your motherfucking moment. It's 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 your motherfucking moment.
I just want to share that being trans and being queer and being a drag performer and being part of this community has been the most life-changing and affirming thing I've ever done. And I am just so proud to be trans, and I would never give that up for anything in the world. And if you are trans or struggling with your gender, know that that exploration, that struggle is where you're gonna find your freedom. And so make room for it. Make room for the confusion and know that that's okay. And that you have time to figure out who you are. And once you do figure out who you are, don't be afraid to let people know without shame, with confidence, and reclaim that joy for yourself.
Hi, my name is Lauren J, aka J for Pay. My pronouns are she, they, and I am a costume designer, video artist, jewelry designer, and drag artist here in Chicago. I started doing drag about 8 years ago, and it was such a huge outlet for me to express femininity that I didn't really get to express growing up. But more recently, my relationship with gender has developed and matured a lot in such a way that I think drag is more a medium for me to explore different genders and not feel tied down to femininity, which can be quite repressive, especially for trans women. It feels like a requirement rather than something that we get to take joy in sometimes. So drag really allows me to sort of explore and be expansive in my gender. In terms of what I would like to accomplish in drag, I want to see myself and those around me have much larger platforms and get to, see things realized on a much larger scale. Personally, that means making music videos, making music, traveling, creative directing, getting to perform in cool venues with amazing people. And for me especially, I think that means also learning to work more collaboratively. I'm very independent as an artist, and I think I'm learning that working with other people only strengthens my skills and allows things to be realized in ways that are even bigger and more powerful. So I'm really excited to see what the next few years of my drag will bring.
I saw a spider, I didn't scream. 'Cause I can belch the alphabet, just double dog dare me. And I chose guitar over ballet. And I tape these suckers down, 'cause they just get in my way. The way you look at me is kinda like a little sister. You high-five your goodbyes, and it leaves me nothing but blisters. So I don't wanna be one of the boys, one of your guys. Just give me a chance to prove to you tonight that I just wanna be one of the girls, pretty in pearls, and not one of the boys. So over the summer something changed. I started reading 17 and shaving my legs, and I studied Lolita religiously. And I walked right into school and caught you staring at me. 'Cause I know what you know, but now you're gonna have to take a number. It's okay, maybe one day, but not until you give me my diamond ring. 'Cause I don't wanna be one of the boys, one of your guys. Just give me a chance to prove to you tonight that I just wanna be your homecoming queen in a poster dream, not one of the boys. I wanna be a flower, not a dirty weed. I wanna smell like roses, not a baseball team. And I swear maybe one day you're gonna wanna make out with me. Cause I don't wanna be one of the boys, one of your guys. Just give me a chance to prove to you tonight that I just wanna be one of the girls, pretty in pearls, tonight, one of the boys.
Hi, my name's Abhijit and welcome to the Disney Channel. Just kidding, you're watching The Moment and I'm so excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me, Alex Jenny. For those of you that don't know me, I am a drag queen and event producer in Chicago. I'm also a part-time chef and a full-time twin connoisseur. There's a lot of job titles to have, but hey, someone has to do it. I started doing drag in 2014-15 and since then it has really helped me understand my own gender identity better. I really love the performativity and the expression that comes through drag, and it kind of like helped me shape like who I want to be as a person and how I see myself. So I don't know, like it's, to me, drag is like directly tied to my gender because it really helped me become who I am, and it still like is a way that I get to express parts of me. As cliche as it sounds, I feel like the future of my drag is world domination. Like, I'm sorry, that's just it. Like, I can't describe it any better. There's no reason why I should not be in every show, on every stage, in every country, on every runway. It just doesn't make sense why that shouldn't be happening for me. So as soon as the world opens up, the opportunities are coming in, baby. We're talking Trans Takeover 2021 or 22, or, you know, whenever things are actually like opening up. But it's happening, so get ready for the ride.
अखियां देखो रह जाने दे कहना है जो कह जाने दे तेरे ख्यालों भी तेरा थे दिल मेरा मांगे तेरी दुआ
I like my girls just like I like my honey. Sweet, little selfish. I like my women like I like my money. Green, a little jealous. 'Cause I'm a beautiful wreck, a colorful mess, but I'm funny. Oh, I'm a heartbreak vet with a stone cold neck, yeah, I'm charming. All the pretty girls in the world, but I'm in this space with you. Colored out the lines again to find my fire was fade with you. Heart it will stay with you. Fly great escapes with you. Is it love? All we need is love. The Beatles said prophecy is love. Do re mi fa sol la ti is love. Love.
रंग जानी रे मर जानी आ कहनी जो थी कह दे वो बात रंग जानी रे मर जानी आ कहनी जो थी कह दे वो बात एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा
Hi, thank you so much for joining me. We have Leo Shane, who I have followed for a while. We actually went to the University of Michigan together, and I am so excited to be having this conversation with you.
Thanks for inviting me, and I'm so happy this was able to happen.
Let's just jump right in, and I'd love to hear a little bit about what you're currently working on.
Currently working on the second season of the L Word Generation Q. Our production, like a lot of productions in the world of COVID, has been pushed, but that's only to make sure we can film as safely as possible. And it's great. We started back up in December.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
I know it is kind of a big deal that you are on the L Word as a trans actor. And that kind of leads me to my next question around what it's like for you as an Asian trans masculine person navigating the entertainment industry and being on shows like the L Word and having that make headlines because it is such a remarkable thing that we haven't seen before.
It's a huge honor. It really is. Something that sets me, I think, a little bit apart from many people in my position is that I wasn't a trained actor. I'm not someone who has been in this industry for a really long time or like had aspirations to necessarily be on this side of the industry. I did major in film, but with the intention of potentially being like a screenwriter or like someone behind the scenes directing, but always with the intent of wanting to tell queer stories. So this is kind of like a nice full circle moment. And also because I am in front of the screen, there comes a lot of responsibility with that and a lot of intention on my part, and that I work with folks who also have really strong intentions for the role that they created and the story that they want to tell. And so I'm really grateful that like our show is also very collaborative in the sense that the writers ask me about myself. They want to make Micah a bit like me so it feels more natural, and also just to know who I am, to know my mannerisms, my personality, the way I speak. My understanding is that this is not really common on a lot of sets where writers take the time to really understand the actors who are playing the characters. So that's really great. And because, I came into this not from an acting mindset necessarily, power dynamics really hit me in a very different way. I think like it's not like people who have been working as actors for many years and doing these maybe walk-on roles, maybe guest stars, maybe like to expand their career where they kind of know what the system is. I didn't really know what the system was from inside. I saw it from outside. I saw like, I was on the outside when Oscars So White started, and I was on the outside when the Me Too movement hit Hollywood. And so I'm coming in from an audience perspective. I'm coming in from really like a viewer. The first season that we filmed, I worked really hard to balance the importance of what Micah meant, what he meant for people not like outside of myself, what the implications would be when we aired. And coming into this season, having worked a tiny bit more in between, very gratefully, especially during a pandemic, I feel a bit more confident too in speaking up and asking questions and making my voice somehow heard as a series regular and as somebody who knows what these life experiences, like the real world implications are. Yeah.
I mean, that's so fascinating to me because I didn't know that you weren't like someone that wanted to be an actor. How did you end up getting the role and being convinced basically to be in front of the camera?
I don't know. I mean, like when I think about when I was a kid and what I wanted to be when I grew up, there were moments scattered throughout my childhood where I thought I could be an actor. But before coming out, I was like, there are not a lot of Chinese American actresses. It seems like there's not the roles that I would want to play as somebody who was identifying as a girl or a woman, which is also really shitty that was a thought I had, given that's just the result of the system we live in. But
right.
I guess maybe it's through more of an internal decision. I just thought also it didn't seem realistic enough. It didn't seem like there would be the opportunity for me to be doing these things that I wanted to do. And so I thought my second choice was social work. My parents are social workers. All the people in my life were social workers at that point.
Social workers.
Oh yeah. And I still have a lot of love for social work. And so I switched my major again, and I still like my love for film and television and media still existed, but I felt like I could do more good and create more change through social work. The year I was supposed to start, I was cast in this really independent film, and should note, relatively controversial film, and which I didn't know at the time it would be. I was approached through Instagram by a casting director who told me they were casting an independent film and they're looking for trans actors or trans people to play a trans character. I just thought, this is a really cool opportunity. And I read the sides they sent me, and I thought I'd audition, and I did, and I ended up getting it. So I postponed grad school year to film this. It was only 6 weeks, so I postponed a whole year of school for a 6-week shoot, and I did it. And then it was over, and I came back to school, and I was like, nothing really has changed. I continued working on campus. That's how actually the year that I came back after that is the year I was working to organize this event to center trans voices of color, trans people of color, and that's where we met at the like little after party. And that was great. And I don't know, for people who might not be familiar with filming, you could go months to a year to X amount of years without hearing something, apparently. You could do like maybe get called in to record some lines that they lost in sound and then never hear anything again. And that's kind of how it was. I was just like, I'd hear like whispers and like do little things for this film I had done, but nothing concrete. So I was like, I don't even know when it's coming out. I don't know. I did this. I can say I did this in my life, and I'm in school. And I get a call that we made it to Sundance. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to Sundance. And I'm like, oh my God, I have class. It's, that's 2.5, 3 years ago. And I still don't actually believe that I was able to go. But while I was there, I met Genevieve, who is my manager now. And she stopped me in the airport and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the manager for a few folks on the film. Here's my card. And I'm like about to board. I said, oh, great. Okay, thanks. So, if I ever need anything, I'll call you. And a few more months passed, and then we get another email like, we're going to go to Outfest. And I was like, all right, maybe I'm going to ask first of all, what's a manager? Second of all, how's that different from an agent? And do I need either of these? So I talked to Genevieve. A week later, she sends me this email like, I know you said you're still in school and you still kind of aren't really sure what you want to do, but this character breakdown came out and I think you'd be great for it. I open it and it said like Untitled L-Word Reboot. Wait, what? I'm like looking at the character breakdown, specifically Asian trans man. Like he could have been a motorcyclist. I've never been on a motorcycle. He could have done whatever. I've been like, I'm auditioning. And the whole process took about a month. Yeah. And I came here and I got it.
I love that because it's so like, you just never know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. I even think about how I got into drag and like how I'm sitting across from you now, and none of it was necessarily planned. It's truly like a calling that found you. I still remember when I saw the news that you were going to be on the show, and me and my circle of friends, we all were so happy for you. And it just, I think, speaks to the ways in which trans joy is still, unfortunately, so rare. And so when we see it, we ride for it. I can't express how meaningful that was for me, even to see another Asian trans person get this major role. And I was like, wow, I need to rethink what's possible.
Wow, thank you. That's really sweet. That means a lot. And I mean, it really, it's also, I think, the potential for trans joy is always there. People just don't hone in on it. It's a choice to not engage with it. It's a choice to not allow it to happen. And I think that the fact that both Marja, our showrunner, and the director of the film I did were so willing to take a chance on somebody with 0 to 1 acting credit. That choice is what allowed this to happen. It's possible. People are able to make choices to uplift trans folks and to like support other trans folks. And the director of the film is also trans, so that's important to note. But like people in positions of power, it is possible, and they knew the potential for the power that it would have.
Yeah.
So allowing trans joy to exist is possible. It's always there. It's always a possibility.
Trans people have so much to offer if people just give us the platform and give us the opportunity. So I wanted to ask you like what it's been like for you to try to find ways to provide like your own lived experiences into this character and into this art that you're making. And then how do you also distinguish yourself from the character?
Yeah, that is a really, really good question. And I think something that I've been able to navigate a lot better this year than the first year. I had so many questions. I'm like, what do actors need to know about the characters they play? Do they need to know like every minutia of like the character's favorite color and like favorite food? But some of the bigger, like more, I guess, macro details were around his family, around what he wants in life. The character breakdown was written in a way that basically essentially said like, Micah is not good at dating. He prefers hookups. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. That's something we don't get to see is like trans people not over-sexualized and having the sexual agency to just say, they just want hookups. They don't want relationships. I did hope maybe we'd see a relationship because I love romantic stuff. Is he from an Asian family? Because I'm adopted, so I can't speak to those experiences. I really wanted to know what it was about this character that made him him. We kind of went back and forth between scientist or social worker. Could we maybe do social work? Because like we see if he's going to be the only like Asian character, maybe the STEM field doesn't need to be fulfilled by him. That's one thing we always see. And like there's like a social, like there are so many queer people in social work, and I wanted to see that like shown. I do feel like I said before, I do feel more comfortable and confident, and I think about the moments leading up to when they say action and what do I do. like my body changes, I think, a little bit. I kind of try and stand a little more confident. Micah has a sense of confidence that I don't think I personally have around sexuality. I think I'm better with relationship stuff than he is. Relationships aren't his forte. Being vulnerable is harder for him, and that's something I'm working on too, being vulnerable and being okay with being vulnerable. Micah needs a lot of reassurance sometimes, and he's not good at asking for it. That I can identify with. The line is blurry. I'm not gonna lie, the line is blurry because they're trying to infuse as much of us as possible into these characters.
Yeah, because I was fascinated by like that delineation that you have to make when you are an inspiration of sorts for the character, right? But you also aren't the character. And I think trans people and trans actors and trans artists, like, we want the opportunity also to really stretch ourselves as artists and not fall into this pattern where we're doing stories that are based on our own traumas, right? Is what I mostly think about.
Yes, which is, I think, also a testament to the fact that there's a trans guy in the writer's room. You know, they're writing stories about trans men with trans men directly involved. And one thing that I really loved around Micah's identity and his transness is we balanced a line of talking about it to make it like exist, but also try not to talk about it too much in the first season. And one of the things I loved, though, was when his mom came to visit. As much as I want to tell stories about adoption, transracial adoption particularly, I'm really glad that they decided to have Micah come from a Chinese American family, because I think that's really important to see too, that like often that we see the representation of Chinese queer folks coming from conservative or traditional families, which is real. And also I think that's a very generational. I think we're getting to a point where like a lot of people, like maybe I would hope our age have more liberal, open parents who are immigrant potentially.
Yeah, I know for myself, like I talk often about how I think I had to unlearn the white American kind of understanding of what it means to be Chinese. And I think I internalized that, not based on my own experiences with my family, but based on the reflection that people would give me when I told them I was Chinese. And people would say, oh, are your parents strict? Are they super traditional? And I was like, I guess, you know, like they don't let me talk back to them as like I see some of my white peers do to their parents. So I guess they're strict. I guess they're traditional. And that made me really scared to come out for a long time. And when I did eventually come out, they were so accepting in their own ways. And they struggled with it, but they weren't you know, as harmful or violent really as I thought they were going to be. And that made me reflect on like, okay, why did I have this image of my family as this like traditional, strict Asian family when like that's not really the case? And I think that if there were more examples of Chinese families that existed outside of the white imagination or what we usually think about in terms of what it means to come from an Asian family, because those experiences are real. There are actual, you know, traditional and conservative Asian families as well. But I think that was like the only experience that I was exposed to, and therefore thought that like my family was that as well. So,
which come from media so often, I love Freaky Friday, the Lindsay Lohan, like Jamie Lee Curtis. But like just those like slight glimpse into like Rosalind Chow, who played my mom, her character, the restaurant owners. They're yelling at each other. They're like bickering, and the mom's like, you know, being really challenging. It's like these snippets are where where people see us.
Yeah.
These tiny snippets. Anyway, sorry. No.
So yeah, we just
I digress.
By, the representation that we get, you know, so that way we're not flattened, you know, one-dimensional. Yeah, anyways, we talked a lot about the L word and your character. So for viewers that don't know about the show or don't know about your character, without giving any spoilers, of course, can you kind of introduce us to the character and what they can expect from the show?
Pull a Tom Holland and just reveal all the secrets.
Right.
So we've got 3 of the original cast members as series regulars who are also producing: Jennifer Beals, Kate Manning, and Leisha Haley, who played Bette, Shane, and Alice respectively, and a group of new folks who are dressed as, what is the byline, like self-absorbed or self-obsessed young people, you know, 20-somethings who are queer in LA. And Micah is one of the characters, Micah Lee, And he's a 20-something queer trans guy who is living his life. He's a social worker. And in the first season, we talked a little bit earlier about how his arc was around his vulnerability and how somebody who preferred to have hookups and casual sex embarks on a relationship for the first time in, I think, a while. And I think a lot of that stemmed from his identity as a trans man being with other men, cis men in particular, because we know cis men can be trash. I mean, all men can be trash, but cis men in particular. Season 2 picks up answering all the questions we had in season 1. There's just such, I think, an awareness around what this show means for people, for queer people and for non-queer people. You know, Marcia and I have had so many conversations around the fact that obviously I'm not the only trans man on TV, but for some people who are watching the show, I might be the only trans man they're seeing.
Yes.
And, you know, not to, you know, mention the fact that Brian Michael Smith is on 911, who's on our show, and Ian Alexander is on Star Trek, who started on the OA, and Chella, and Scott Turner Schofield, and D'Lo, and everyone. Like, there's so many trans men out here doing this shit. I'm just very fortunate enough to be on this platform.
I even think about representation for Asian men, period. That's also so limited. And so yeah, it's I'm sure, I can only imagine that it's a lot of pressure for you to recognize that this is so important and like a critical cultural moment. And at the same time, you're just trying to make a living and make art, you know?
Thank you. Thank you for that acknowledgement. And you're right. I mean, that's a whole other Zoom call series around the representation of Asian men. Oof. I mean, it's great. And it's also like, yes, as a trans man who's Chinese, this is huge. There's always going to be ways in which it can be improved and like conversations that can come out of it. The fact that I'm East Asian, therefore lighter as a Chinese trans man, like that's also a huge thing too. And I think we can't ever necessarily get it right, but we can always do better. I hope this pushes everything forward too.
Well, to wrap up, I would love to hear a little bit more about what healing means to you generally, whatever that question takes you.
That's such a beautiful question. What does healing look like for you? That's such a social work question.
Yeah, it's, you know,
I love it.
Trying, you know, to add
clinical, right? LMSW?
Yeah, it's heart and vulnerability and trying to do this, you know.
Gosh, do you ask this to your clients? What does healing look like for you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's really grounding because this is a whole other tangent. But, you know, what I often have to tell my clients is that, especially trauma survivors, because I'm a trauma therapist. So I often have to tell them that healing does not have to look like pain. I think that's something that we associate, right? That healing has to look like hard truths or like exposure to like hard memories that you don't want to look at, and it has to be painful in some way, otherwise you're not gaining anything. And I think that, you know, healing can also be people saying, hey, I don't want to experience this kind of pain and I'm going to set that boundary. Or saying, I just want to experience joy and cultivate gratitude, and that can be healing too. I don't have to, you know, look at the things that caused me pain that didn't make sense in order for me to heal. So yeah, that question can be illuminating to parse some of those ideas out.
That's really beautiful. Okay. I think where I'm at in my life right now, healing looks like communication. Healing looks like being able to talk about things without anyone feeling bad for me, especially the hard things, and talking about the traumas that I've experienced. And I think not normalizing it, but just like being able to talk about it. Like, this happened. It was a long time ago. I'm still working through it, but it happened, and I can talk about it. Healing looks like being able to reach out. I'm not good at texting people when I'm struggling or reaching out to people when I'm struggling, because I'm always never wanting to add to whatever they're on, you know, they're right. Social workers never follow their own advice. I hope you follow your own advice.
I really don't. I really don't. But I'm trying.
And you know that you can admit it is so good. I think healing looks like feeling my feelings. I've been using that phrase a lot. I'm just feeling the sadness. I'm feeling the hurt. I'm feeling the grief, and letting myself feel that, because I think it's really easy to push unwanted feelings away and push them down, and then be like attacked by them later. And in terms of self-care looks like Chipotle once in a while.
Yes. Not a paid sponsorship. You genuinely
It's not. I genuinely love it. I get it like once a week.
And I want to thank you again for being a part of this. I ride so hard for the Chicago drag scene and trans drag performers, especially knowing how gatekept trans people have been away from these arts, even local drag. And so, yeah, it means a lot for you to be lending your voice and lending your influence.
Thank you. And we're friends on Facebook, and so I see your incredible, powerful posts around healing and self-care and like self-reflection. I love them so much, and it's so great to see the work you're doing, and also like same back at you as an Asian American queer person. Like you are creating a space for people that we don't always often get. And so thank you for holding this. And I've never tried drag. I'm open to it. If I'm ever in Chicago.
Oh my God, don't even play with me. I would be obsessed and be honored to put you in drag sometime.
Like when it's safe again, when it's safer, for sure.
My home is your home.
Oh, thank you. And if you're ever in LA,
yeah. Absolutely.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As someone that aspires to one day be more involved into the entertainment industry and get back to acting, I'm trying to write a web series right now and just putting my hand in everything I can to really give myself permission to chase the dream, because I didn't give myself that permission. And that's why I'm a social worker, which I absolutely don't regret. And, when I think about genuinely what I want to be doing with my life, it's performing, it's acting, so
amazing.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I feel really humbled and honored.
I would love, someday to hear more about your work too, especially as a trauma social worker, trauma therapist. I would love to hear about how your work influences your other work and vice versa. So.
Yeah, well then we'll keep in touch.
Please.
Hello world, hello America. My name is Miss Toto and I live in Chicago, Illinois. My pronouns in drag are she, her, and my pronouns out of drag are they, them. The relationship between my drag and my gender has really evolved, developed. I've always been cross-dressing and really not understanding, even as a kid, why I wanted to just be as femme as possible and express all of these feminine energies inside of me. And it wasn't until I got much older and discovered drag to where I really was able to understand I don't need to be a boy, I don't need to be a girl, I can be both, I can be neither. Miss Toto is a quote unquote woman in my head, but it really helps me find a place to channel all of my feminine energy that I feel, and I can put it in one place and create this gorgeous, voluptuous woman that you see in front of you. One thing that I would like to accomplish with my drag is to really have people feel positive about their bodies. We're always told that certain body parts go with certain quote unquote genders, which I don't really agree with. So when I started doing drag, a lot of people said that I couldn't do drag with all these muscles, and I completely said that was bullshit. So the more muscle queens, the better, as long as you're cool and accepting. Because I want to see beefy, buff bitches with wigs on, doing drag, and having fun. So if I can inspire people to do that, my purpose is done.
Supersonic pussycat, just like a jaguar, silky black. So let me climb your wood like that. You got 9 times to come hit that. Come hit that. Supersonic pussycat, just like a jaguar, silky black. So let me climb your wood like that. You got 9 times to come hit that. Come hit that. you're hungry. 너를 위해 go crazy baby. 너의 파도를 오늘 밤 다 우회줘. Don't let me go tonight. 오늘 집에 가지 마. 둘만 있어 me. You're my ocean, I'm your star. Yeah, till 6 in the morning. Baby, don't stop, keep it coming. Make me feel so good. 내 기억할 수 있게. I can't stop thinking about you. Five stars every time that you come through. Oh my God, 미쳤나 봐. Oh my God, baby now, baby. I can't stop thinking about you. Five stars every time that you come through. Oh my God, 미쳤나 봐. Oh my God, baby now. 무슨 말이 더 필요해? But you all feel perfect. Give me everything I wanted. You know I'm worth it. 제발 날 깨우지 마. 이 꿈에서 날 깨우지 마. Yeah. Baby, baby, tell me what's the antidote. Wouldn't text you this late, unless there's something wrong. I look too good to be in this bedroom without someone to touch me like you do. Maybe there is something I could take for this. How much longer gotta wait for this? I can see my body on your lips, yeah. You know once you get a taste for it, you would need it, you would pay for it. Going empty out the bank for this. If you wanna be my baby, know I'm gonna drive you mad. Probably gonna call me crazy. I'm the best you ever had. Yeah, I can turn you on. While you close the on. If you wanna be my baby, know I'm gonna drive you mad. Probably gonna call me crazy. I'm the best you ever had. Yeah, I can turn you on. While you close the on. Keep you coming back for more. Baby, do I taste like candy? Sugar coated, he say I'm the most sweet. I'm a handful, but that's what hands are for. Pin me to the floor, treat it like it's yours. Maybe there is something I should take for this. How much longer gotta wait for this? I can see my body on your lips, yeah. You know once you get a taste for it, you would need it, you would pay for it. Going empty out the bank for this. If you wanna be my baby, know I'm gonna drive you mad. Probably gonna call me crazy. I'm the best you ever had. Yeah, I can turn you on. While you close the on. If you wanna be my baby, know I'm gonna drive you mad. Probably gonna call me crazy. I'm the best you ever had. Yeah, I can turn you on. While you close the on. Keep you coming back for more. Alone and I'm feeling myself, but oh baby, it's better when I have some help from my baby. I got that love you can't handle, but maybe you can try. I look too good to be up in this bedroom. Need someone like you to touch me like you do. Whisper my name in my ear, that's like music. You know just what I wanna hear. Yeah.
All right, everyone, that was our show. Thank you so much for tuning into the second episode of The Moment. I am so humbled and excited about being able to do this and being able to share this space and this moment with you all. Thank you to Unbound Babes, our fabulous sponsors. Thank you to Leo Shang. Thank you to Lucy Stool. Thank you to all of our performers. Make sure that you do tip them and pay our cover so that we can pay all of our performers. And again, I just want to thank you for joining this show, this project of love. And I want to thank Transit Productions as well for helping me produce my music video, which you all were able to watch today. Thank you so much for supporting me and supporting the show and supporting local trans drag performers. The next show is slated for March 20th, and we have a really special guest. Our next guest will be Aaron Phillip, supermodel extraordinaire, and I am so excited to have her on the show. So make sure to tune in because you absolutely do not want to miss the third episode of The Moment. Thank you for being in this moment with me. Thank you for being the moment. It really does mean so much to me to have your support, especially as we're in this critical moment where we're looking back at the things that we've put young women through in the entertainment industry and seeing the misogyny that was rampant, specifically on talk shows and in interviews. And that is the exact reason why I want to brand myself as a talk show host, be a talk show host, be a television personality, because it is high time that we get women in these positions, trans women of color in these positions, so that way we can actually be intentional about what it means to highlight the work of these artists and not drag their name through the mud in order to make money, right? In order to exploit them and laugh in the face of mental illness and actual human suffering and struggles, right? And I feel so lucky and humbled that you all see that vision, and you all support that vision that I have. I also especially want to shout out a regular girl and congratulate her on her new talk show. We need more of us. You know, we need to be out here talking about our own experiences, having conversations between trans people. We need to go beyond what it means to showcase our experiences through a lens of trauma porn. We need to go beyond the ways in which we have to just accept the misogyny that we face when we do want to promote our projects and do want to promote our art, and then expose ourselves to cis men and cis people who are obsessed with our bodies or our genitals or assigned sex at birth. We are so much more than those things, and women are so much more than our scandals. Women are so much more than our mental illnesses, and we deserve support and adoration. And it is clear to me more than ever before why it is that I am doing the work that I'm doing, and why it is I so passionately am working to become a voice that can actually uplift these people in the ways that they deserve. I also want to thank A Queer Pride for believing in me and producing the show. I want to thank Abhijit specifically for running a lot of the behind the scenes stuff with me. I want to thank Dylan, who is an actual genius and is the creative director for this show and came up with all the graphics that make this show what it is. And I, again, want to thank all of you for believing in trans dreams and trans talent and trans magic and beauty. The world is changing, and moments like this is proof that there can be new possibilities. So thank you. Good night, y'all.